Guys, welcome to P6. Um, this lesson is all about uh, rational expressions, rational expressions, and how do we work with them? Well, if you know anything about factoring polynomials, stuff like that, uh, you add, subtract, multiply, and divide, or you add, subtract, multiply, basically with polynomials. Um, but when you divide, then you get rational expressions because a rational expression is a polynomial, a fraction with a polynomial on top and the bottom. Okay, well, on number one, there's not really much I can cross out. I don't have anything in the top that matches with the bottom. So on a problem like this, or really with any of your rational expressions, it really becomes down to you can't divide by zero. So what is going to make the bottom zero? Well, that's really simple. You just take whatever the bottom is and set it equal to zero and solve. So x equals -4. So uh, they will ask you this type of problem, like what makes it undefined, or what is part of your what are the holes in your domain? And so let's have a quick conversation about what domain is. Domain is every x that your graph will touch. And if you have uh, a rational expression like this, you're dealing with some form of hyperbola, which means there's going to be a break in the graph somewhere. And where that break uh, is your domain. Okay, so if you have to pick up your pencil when you graph, all right, you're going to have a domain issue, most likely. So whatever makes the bottom zero, that is not in your domain. So what makes it undefined? X equals -4. But what is my domain? X does not equal -4. Right. So whatever makes the bottom zero, you find it and then you throw it out, and that's your domain. Okay. So there's that. On number two, if a little work to do first. Here it says y-7, and then you're supposed to know that you should factor the bottom, and this is going to be y+7, y-7. So two things here. First of all, we can simplify this because the y-7s will cross out. And so this is going to be, didn't leave myself a lot of room, 1 over y+7 as a simplified form. However, when it comes to the domain question, right, you had a +7 in the bottom and a -7 in the bottom. So both of them need to be thrown out, and that will be your domain. So this domain is going to be y does not equal -7 or +7. Okay, so depending on how they ask the question, if they want the simplified version of this or if they want the domain, right, these two, this is how you do it. Right, on number three, you want to factor the top and the bottom. Remember your rules of factoring. The basic form of factoring is GCF, greatest common factor, or you have all your other rules of factoring. So just keep it in mind and factor the top and the bottom and see if we have anything in common. So on the bottom, I can take out a 4, and it's going to give me x-3. If I can get an x-3 to show up on the top, then I have something I can cancel out, and that would be helpful. Okay, so x squared is going to break down to x and x. My second sign is positive, so my both signs are the same as the first sign, which is negative. So I have minus minus in parentheses. And then what times what is 9? It adds to 6. So 3 and 3. Now, I said if I can get an x-3 to show up on top, I can get rid of it. Well, I have 2 of them on top. I can only get rid of 1 because I only have 1 in the bottom. So that goes away. And so I'm left with x-3 over 4. That's the simplified rational expression. All right, your domain, right? There's nothing you can do to make the bottom 0 when it's all said and done and x-3 is gone. But we have to look back at the original to figure out what makes the domain 0 or what makes the whole thing 0. And in the original, I can plug in a +3 and that would get rid of it. So my domain is x does not equal +3. Okay. All right. All right. Number 4, you are multiplying. So you multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. But when you're multiplying rational expressions, your best bet is to get everything in factor form first, because you don't want to multiply all this stuff out. I know I don't. And so x-5 over, looks like I can take a 6 out. So it's going to be x+6 times, looks like I can take a 5 out of the top. So it's going to be x+6 here. I can take a 5 out here. That's going to be x-5. And then look what happens. x plus 6 here and here, x minus 5 here and here, and then I got a 5 here and here. And so my final answer is just going to be 1 over 6. Beautiful. Okay. You also want to get it in factored form to know exactly what your what's going to make the bottom 0. You had an x plus 6 and an x minus 5. And if you remember back to number 1, it was x plus 4 equals 0, and then my answer was -4. So what's going to happen here is my domain is x cannot equal, and it says x plus 6, so it's going to be a -6 when I solve for it. It says x minus 5, so it's going to be +5 when I solve for it. And so, and this is how I separate. If I have multiple numbers, I separate with a comma. Okay, and so that's how it's done. When you're dividing fractions, remember you have to turn it into a multiplication. I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. This is going to be x plus 2 over 9 times 2 over 3 times x plus 2. All right. Now my 3 is not on top of my 9. They're on the same plane, the same level. So I can't do anything with that. But I can get rid of these x plus 2's. And that's going to be 2 on top and 27 on the bottom. Okay, so there's my simplified rational expression. And my domain is going to be x cannot equal -2. Okay. All right. Once again, you want to take out GCF and all that stuff. So I can take out a 4 here. And that's going to leave me with x squared. Uh, oops. 2x squared plus 3 over x minus 6 times. And then um, I'm flipping this. So 10x squared plus 5, that's going to be, I'm going to take a 5 out. That's going to be 5 times 10 is 2, or 5 times 2 is 10, x squared plus 3. And then the x squared minus 36 is going to be x plus 6, x minus 6. And so I can get rid of the 2x squared plus 3 and get rid of the x minus 6. Okay. And that's going to leave me with a 4x plus 6 over 5. So that's the simplified rational expression. You have to go back to your original, figure out your domain. Once we factor the x squared minus 36, we have plus 6 and a minus 6. So x cannot be -6 or 6. Okay. On 7, I'm adding rational expressions. So I need a common denominator. I have one. And so I literally just combine like terms and put them over my common denominator. So 3x and 8, or 3x and 5x is 8x. 2 and 4 is 6. Well, looky there. 8x plus 6 is really close to 4x plus 3. And it turns out if I take out a 2 out of the top, I can get that to show up. And so that'll go away. And I'm simply left with 2 is my answer. Okay. Well, what about my domain? Because that's something I still have to consider. So you set 4x plus 3 equal to 0. Do it here. So it's going to be 4x equals -3. And then x equals -3 over 4. That's what makes it 0. So my domain is x does not equal -3 over 4. Right? On 8, I have to get a common denominator. So you multiply each fraction by what it doesn't have. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this side by 7, this side by 2x. I'm going to multiply, so it's going to be 21 over 14x minus 20x over 14x. So this is going to be 21 minus 20x all over 14x. Okay, well, there's nothing I can do to plug in with 7, but I could plug something into the 2x to make it 0, and that's just 0. So my domain here is going to be x cannot be 0. Okay. Number 9. All right, I need to factor this first. So this is going to be 12 over x plus 3, x plus 3. This is going to be 6 over x plus 3. So I need two x plus 3s for my denominator. So I'm going to multiply the second one by x plus 3 to make common denominators. So 12 over x plus 3, x plus 3. The whole reason we factor it is to know what the other fraction needs. So plus 6 x plus 3 over x plus 3, x plus 3. Okay, so that's going to be 12 plus 6x plus 18 over. Okay, that's going to be 6x plus 30. Okay, and then that's going to give you, I can take a 6 out of the top, 6 x plus 5. Well, that's not going to get rid of any of my x plus 3s. But now that I know that, I can rewrite this as x plus 3 all squared. Okay, and this would be my simplified rational expression. All right, but your domain is simply is x plus 3 all the way through. So your domain is x cannot be negative 3. Again, to find that out, you would have said x plus 3 equal to 0, solve for x, and you would get x equals negative 3. So that's why my domain changes signs. Okay, and then last problem, you have what we call a nested fraction. You have fractions inside of fractions. Okay, um, so let's do this one thing at a time. I need a common denominator in the top. So I'm going to give x plus 3 to this side, x minus 3 to this side. Right, so it's going to be 2 x plus 3 minus 2 x minus 3 all over x plus 3 x minus 3. Okay, now I'm going, technically what we're doing here is we're dividing by this other fraction, 5 over x squared minus 9. Well, I can factor the x squared minus 9 into x plus 3 and x minus 3. Well, that's going to come in helpful in just a second, so let's hang out let's watch that. Let's clean up this first numerator. So it's going to be 2x plus 6 minus 2x plus 6. So my 2x's are going to fall out. Right, this is all over x plus 3 minus 3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave it for now. 5 over 3. Okay, now this is going to be 6 and 6 is 12 over x plus 3, x minus 3 times. Notice I'm switching from division to multiplication, which means I got to flip this fraction. That's going to be x plus 3, x minus 3 over 5. Now, everything's cleaned up. I can get rid of x plus 3, x minus 3. And this is simply going to be 12 over 5 as my final answer. So this big, nasty fraction turned into this simple improper fraction. So there's a lot going on there. So let me check my math real quick. Let's see, plus 3. This is 2x plus 6. 6, 6. Yep, that is correct. And then your domain. So you have an x minus 3 and x plus 3. X squared minus 9 is x plus 3, x minus 3. So your domain is based off of plus and minus 3. So your domain here is going to be x cannot be -3 and +3. That's it. All right. So that is the last of the review. And if you have any questions, I would understand. And I look forward to you reaching out to me about them. And then I will see you in the next video.